Today what we're going to talk about is 1-6 solving equations. By solving y equals f of x for x, you can find values of x that leads you to a particular y value. Remember, y and f of x are the same thing, okay? So don't let that bother you. When you see a function, f of x is the same thing as saying your y value. It's its output. So if they're giving us an output, we're still able to find out what the x value is when they give that to us. So let's look at example 1. In the board game Monopoly, Boardwalk is the most expensive property. The one-time cost of property plus a hotel is $1,400, while the rent earned from another player landing on it is $2,000. If n equals the number of players landing on Boardwalk, then f of n equals 2,000n minus 1,400 is the owner's total profit after n players have landed on the property. What will be the owner's profit after 4 people land on Boardwalk? Well, let me show you how to do this on your calculator. Okay? y1 is going to be our 2,000n minus 1,400. That's our equation. And x is just our total number of people. So what we can do is we could just go to the table, and my table's a little big right now, but I'm going to start my table at 0 now. Hit second function graph, because we only want to go out to, I think, 4, right? After 4 people land. So when 4 people land on Boardwalk, that guy's making $6,600. Now, could you have took 4, put that in for n? Yes, gave you 8,000 minus 1,400 gives you 6,600. Yes, works the same. Now, B says, is it possible for the owner to make exactly 10,000 in profit? Now, what I like to do for this is my y value that we're trying to find. Will it work? Okay, so if I go to my calculator, what I like to do then for my y equals, I like to put that number in for my y2. Because what this is going to create is just a little line that shows me where this function and 10,000 intersect at. So let's graph that. Now, obviously, I got to make my window bigger than 10,000, correct? So my y max needs to be at least 11,000. Oops, need to say 11,000. One, two, three. Let's hit graph, see what happens. And it looks like they intersect, which is good, as they should. And I'm going to scroll over here. And if I scroll down a little bit, about right on it. As you can see here, it would take about 5.74 people. Can 5.74 people, is that possible? 5.74 people? No, because you cannot have 0.74 of a person, right? See how easy that is? Use your calculator, it makes things a lot easier. Your distributed property, we should all seen this before. For all real numbers A, B, and C, all you have to do is take this C and multiply it to every single thing inside that quantity. Use the sign in the middle. This one's plus, so that plus stays there. Okay? The opposite of a sum theorem. Kind of the same basis. That negative has to go to every single thing that's in that quantity, which then is going to come out to be a negative A minus B. Remember, Mr. Johnson doesn't like double signs, doesn't like the plus minus. Leave it as the minus. Okay? Two properties that you need to know. Example 2 says Darius had $500 to spend at the baseball card convention. He decided to spend all his money buying rookie cards of his two favorite players. At the end of the season, Darius found that the first card increased in value by 21%, while the second card decreased in value by 7%. Okay? He spent D dollars on the first card, so he spent $500 minus D dollars on the second card. So they came up with an equation for the total value of two cards. If you look here, that's the first card because it increased by 0.21. Okay, 1.21, it increased by 0.21. Okay, the second card decreased by 7%, so that's why it's only 0.93 now, times the price of whatever it was. It says if Darius's cards were worth $550 at the end of the season, how much did he spend on each card? So let's go to our calculator again, because like I said, using these helps out quite a bit. But so what I'm going to do is, they're worth $550 now, right? So that's going to be my Y2. So I want to know when that equation equals 550. And my equation is 1.21 x plus 0.93 times the quantity 500 minus x. Okay, so I don't have to have my window that high now. It was at 11,000. I can have it go up to 600. So I just want to see 550, right? Okay. Oops, I changed my Y scale. Sorry. I want to change my Y max to 600. We can have that go up by 10 again. So these two things are going to start to intersect. So I got to make my X values a little bit bigger, because it might be, they might go out to, one card could have cost $350, right? I don't know. I have no idea. Okay. If you look here, they're starting to intersect. Okay. I'm going to change my minimum. Let's just go from 300 to 350. Hit graph. I don't like how I did that. Back here. Okay. You can see they are intersecting about right up here. Roughly about, oh, we could say 323.93, or maybe 324.46. Let's maybe it's not that much. It's back here, wait. There, I get something a little bit better now. Let's change this to 250. Just trying to get a better graph. But if you scroll up here now, see that's a little bit better. There's right at my 550. And if I scroll over about right here, it's going to tell me but that's about right where they intersect at. That says about $303.72. $303.72 for the first card. And so what you need to do is you need to take 550 and subtract it from $303.72. So the first card's going to be $303. The second card's going to be $246.28. Now, granted, both these had better add up to 550. Otherwise, you did something wrong. Okay? So, yes, sometimes the window takes a little bit, but once I got the window down, you could see exactly where those two things intersected at. Okay? Clearing fractions and equations. Example 3. In Game 5 of 2006 NBA Finals between Miami and Dallas, Dirk Nowitzki scored 1/5 of Dallas's points, and Josh Howard scored 1/4 of Dallas's points. The rest of the Mavericks scored a total of 55 points. How many points did Dallas score? Well, here's my equation. We don't know what points are. So we know that they scored a certain number of points, correct? So points equals, and then what points equals is our formula for who scored all the points. Well, Dirk Nowitzki scored 1/5 of the total number of points. Josh Howard scored 1/4 of the total number of points. And then the rest of the team scored 55 points. So you see how I set this up? 55 points plus 1/4 of the points plus 1/5 of the points has to equal our total number of points. Okay? Now, by doing this, you can do this two ways. You can get rid of your fractions, or you can combine your fractions. Okay. If you're gonna combine your fractions up, 1/5 and 1/4. Remember, when you are adding fractions, you have to get a common denominator. So this turns into 4/20 and 5/20, because 4 times 20 is 5, 5 times 1 is 5. So this is 9/20 P plus 55 equals P. Get our P's to the same side, so I got to subtract 9/20 P equals 55. Well, what's 1 minus 9/20? Well, 1P is 20/20, right? So it is 11/20 times P. So divide by 11/20. So P equals Invert multiply, so this becomes 55 times 20 over 11. Well, 11 goes into 55, 5 times 20 is 100. So, how many points did the whole team score? They scored 100 points that night. Example 4, just a function problem here. It says, suppose g of a equals 3a minus the quantity 7 minus 5a. For what value of a is g of a 12? So what they are telling us is the y value. Now, so this whole thing right here is 12. So 12 equals 3a minus quantity 7 minus 5a. Now I'm going to do this by hand, which you could do it on your calculator, but I'm just going to do this by hand. So 3a, and remember our negatives. I'd take the negative to every single thing. So a negative times 7 is a negative 7. A negative times a negative 5a is a positive 5a. Okay? And so the inverse of subtracting 7 is adding 7, so it gives me 19. And 3a plus 5a is 8a. You divide by 8. And 19 divided by 8 is 19 divided by 8 is 2.375. So when a equals 2.375, that function equals 12. That's all I have for you today. Please enjoy. We'll see you tomorrow.